Welcome back to Autonomy Quest, where you get to meet some of the graduates of the course and hear about their journey through it. Tonight we have Aaron Riles, who will be interviewing Matthew Hemis, and I can't wait. I'm very excited for this. So, Aaron, take it away, bud.
Thank you very much, James. Matthew, welcome. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, Aaron. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So let's just get right to it. In what ways were you stuck in life before joining autonomy?
Several, a lot of superimposed obstacles in my way, and well, mindset to one extent was an obstacle. Not knowing the ways to go about overcoming certain hurdles, and then through a course of self-study, I started to learn some things, and in addition to that, there was lack of income, and I was eventually able to transform that into more income anyway, so to speak. And yeah, there's just a lot of self-imposed hurdles, poor eating habits, vices, and the such, and it all amounts to a whole lot of stress if you don't know how to circumvent those kinds of things, and get them out of your way so you can move forward and progress to attaining your goals.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, mindset can be a big part of what can sort of, get us stuck. So, do you want to describe a little bit about maybe like one little facet of your mindset that may have that maybe was blind to you before starting autonomy?
Well, not knowing that I could pave my own way. You're prescribed this curriculum at a young age, and you grow up thinking that's the proper course, and you go through the system and get inundated with that education, and it's not congruent to attaining the success that most people seek to have. And it took a lot of learning from outside of the public education system to become aware of that. And I'd like to credit Richard Grove and the Autonomy program for assisting with that.
Definitely, definitely. Was your mindset affecting you from getting, like, say, your dreams, whether it professional or personal? And how did autonomy help you get those dreams going?
Now, before becoming aware of the fact that we can bring into our lives that which we want, as opposed to filling it full of things we don't want, anybody that's made any sort of self-help studies come across the secret and that whole deal, and that kind of was a starting point for me as far as sparking that quest for information. That was one little piece of the puzzle, and it led to me learning about a whole bunch of other stuff that allowed me to make those necessary mindset changes. And so far as mindset and moving to an abundant mindset, and eventually, several years down the road, after lots of study, I was able to enroll in the autonomy program after 5 years of sitting on the fact that the program was there. It worked out, and getting into the program, the fact that they start off with mindset lecture was great in getting me back on track as far as remembering all that stuff I picked up on the way to autonomy. You get sidetracked from time to time, and it's nice to get a refresher. Mindset is a critical component. It's like the first key to unlocking that door. And once you open that door again and step through, and keep in mind that you control your thoughts, and thoughts are things, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a critical component to getting where you want to be. It's acknowledging where you're at with your mindset and where you can go with it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, Going into, you said you kind of had been on the sides of autonomy for a few years before joining. So there may have been some fear around joining autonomy. Did autonomy help you to face any of your other fears and help you show up for yourself?
I never had any outright things that scared me in terms of fear. I've
Okay.
done a lot of things over the years that instilled confidence in me. Going through Marine Corps boot camp at 18 years old and succeeding in that in and of itself was a confidence booster. But traveling to foreign countries and experiencing foreign cultures and uh, interacting in the music industry as a booking and promo agent for 8 years, in addition to a regular day job. I had a lot of experience that helped me overcome any kinds of fears so far as personal success and moving forward in life. But autonomy did, again, get me back on track in so far as mindset and painting out the picture for my future. I've always had an idea of where I wanted to go, just never really saw the bridge that was going to close that gap. Autonomy certainly helped me achieve clarity.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the ways that you were able to kind of organize and gain clarity through some of the things you learned in autonomy?
Yeah. In my graduation interview with Deborah Staub, hi Deborah, I made a lot of mention of improved focus or, developing a laser focus as a matter of going through the lecture series, and all of that attributed to that clarity that I gained. Because ultimately, that's one of the big things I walked away with was clarity. You set out knowing what you want, but you don't know how to get there, and then you go through the lecture series, you've taken the information, you get the keys, you open that mindset door, get back to putting your mind where it ought to be, get your mind right, everything else falls in place, as the saying goes. And then you go into the communication lecture and the interview series, and you get that information, and then you have that key, and you open that door, and you start with the integration exercises or the practical application. And that alone instills confidence as you go through and succeed in those interactions with your classmates and other graduates. It's an ongoing process, and it's a stair step, and it's one door after the next. And as you progress through each door, you instill that confidence, and you get that focus, and you develop that clarity.
Matthew, you were talking about some of the course structure and how sort of things kind of go through and sort of build upon. What did you say? What did you learn from like the autonomy system of sales, and how is that helping you in your current endeavors?
One of the key takeaways from the autonomy sales training that I got was that there's a better way. And I've talked about it before in conversation and even in my graduation interview. Having worked at a Ford dealership, I've seen ways to not go about creating rapport with customers, and when they want you to be more aggressive. And I've said it, that's not my style. There was an extreme disconnect in so far as that goes. You don't close a deal by being aggressive with your potential client. So the Phoenix and the information he presented, in addition to everything Richard presented with that sales training lecture, it was clear to me that what I had experienced in years past and what I can experience with the autonomy sales training is the autonomy way is the way for me.
I can definitely understand, it can take something which feels a bit pejorative, sales, and turn it into something that becomes an asset. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. How does the autonomy program help you with sort of creating your offer to the market and to the world now? And how is that different from where you were at prior to taking autonomy?
I could think of one instance that occurred to me prior to even actually starting the first lecture. With the advent of the world premiere, so to speak, when they presented the live music, the kickoff celebration for season 13, and Jordan and Grant were in the house sharing their abilities. That gave me an idea in regard to a local preparedness group I affiliated with, and and I've been following Richard for 5-6 years now, between Autonomy and Grand Theft World and Peace Revolution and so on and so forth. But when they kicked off season 13 with that live musical performance, it gave me the idea to reach out to my friends at the Midwest Preparedness Project and inquire if they had ever considered incorporating live music into their biannual week-long campouts that they do, one in the spring and one in the fall. And they'd entertain the idea, but being that they're funded by donations and paid sponsorships, they never really had the means to fund a live music performance. And I set out to see what I could do to make that happen. And as a matter of fact, we just confirmed our brother in Autonomy, Scott Armstrong, as somebody that's willing and able to come up here and hang out with us for a week and share his musical talents with us. So there's a whole lot of us that are really excited about it.
Awesome. And that came before you even had taken that idea, came before you had even taken the lecture series.
But it came from Richard Autonomy.
Yeah. Is there any other ways in which autonomy has helped you kind of reframe how you make your offer, how you do your business?
Well, I haven't really had my own business per se. I've engaged in work that was of a sole proprietorship nature. Here in Kansas, we're not required to form a legal business entity unless there are certain criteria met. But like with what I was doing as booking and promotional work, it was sole proprietorship, and I wasn't making any money with it anyway, as it were. But I now know that when I am doing stuff like that, I can craft an offer that would monetize my efforts, and instead of just doing it for maybe gas money to get back home after the show's over at the end of the night. But ultimately, though, I really get great satisfaction from helping others do their thing, and if I can help people, it's all the better. But there are things that I can be doing and intend to start doing moving forward as a matter of getting this higher quality information than what I ever got going through several semesters of junior college.
Nice. You kind of mentioned you had got some music talent out of the autonomy community. Do you want to describe the autonomy community a little bit and your thoughts and feelings about it?
I think it's fantastic. And when you come into a group of people that spans the globe, come across all kinds of different backgrounds and cultural experiences, and all those different backgrounds and different cultural experiences bring new ideas to the table that are otherwise inaccessible to you. Like one of the mastermind groups, well, the main mastermind group that I've been in going through autonomy, now there's a British fellow living in Italy that's our mastermind leader, the facilitator for the group. We have a season 13 student that came in a little later in the season that joined in. He's from Israel, but he currently lives in Spain. And then there's that reside here in the United States, but it's awesome getting to share our experiences from our particular parts of the world and take those kinds of things into consideration. But it's a huge melting pot of all kinds of different worldly experiences, and it could all come together to help you get over whatever hurdle you might be facing as you're trying to get up and over all those hurdles that tend to find themselves in your
Yeah. You mentioned the mastermind.
Yeah,
What were your thoughts on that experience?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Uh, up until coming into autonomy, I knew of Mastermind and was familiar with them as far as the general concept, but I'd never partaken in one. Having the opportunity to do so was pretty cool. When you hear what other people are experiencing as far as uh, endeavors they're working on or projects they have in mind or pain points and problems that they're trying to overcome, they share all that with you, and then as a group, you provide feedback and maybe give them the insight that they need to get to the end goal there, and vice versa. Share your pains, your endeavors, your projects, and hopes and dreams, and wins, and all that fun stuff, and get their feedback. And it's additional insight is always a plus, whether it's constructive criticism or a totally new idea that completely escapes you. So yeah, the opportunity to have that kind of get that kind of feedback is invaluable.
Yeah, and uh, we'll take turns in the masterminds being in the hot seat where we can talk about our own thing and have the group focus on ourselves, and then next week it moves on to the next person in line.
Yeah.
Um, kind of sticking on just the autonomy community, when you're sharing that kind of information, whether it's professional problems or personal stuff that you're trying to get your head around, um, it can be really nice to have a community. Um, kind of, how does the community help someone feel welcome in that respect?
Open arms. Come in the door from the get go, and you're welcome with open arms. Uh, all day long, anybody you interact with, it's there's a mutual respect across the board, and we're all here looking to improve our lives, and we're helping others do the same and getting that same kind of assistance from others. And it's yeah, just fantastic. It's one word to simply put it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's great. That's great. What was it like working with Richard? You said you had followed him with his Peace Revolution, and you're familiar with the Grand Theft World podcast. How was it interacting with him?
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Having the opportunity to spend time with Richard's been awesome. He always has something insightful to add to the conversation, whether it's a fresh idea or another possibility, or hey, no, not that way, this way, or he's full of better ways, wisdom, and you can't go wrong with hearing what he has to say.
Yeah. And as a sort of uh, yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Before we wrap up, are there any other things that you would like to say about your first season through Autonomy? And are you looking forward to this coming season?
Yeah, there's been a lot that's come together for me as I progressed through the autonomy course. Just reinstating the mindset side of it and getting myself back on track in that regard, and then having the opportunity to get back on track with my communication skills and doing the integration exercises with other students, and it just helped to get me back on track and fine tune my focus. And again, I walked away with clarity. That song, I can see clearly now. The rain is gone came to mind when we graduated, and that's pretty much how it worked out. I've always had a vision, but I never really took the appropriate action to move in that direction. And since coming through here and having the support from the community and Richard and everyone else, and I'm moving in the direction that I want to go, and it seems to be coming together a lot quicker than it may have otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, and with the ability to participate in every upcoming season, it really allows you to make the most of the information as it comes in, apply it to what you're working on. Um, and then you don't feel in a rush to soak in everything because it comes at you so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if there's anyone out there in the audience that has any questions for Matt, we would like to open things up so you could ask questions. And Matt, would love to hear what your response would be. Oh, don't be shy now, folks.
Bueller.
Mm. All right. Well, we may have a group of folks who are unable to chime in at the moment.
Well, when I have a question, Matthew, I'm always very fascinated by your integration into the freedom community. You have a lot of involvement in different aspects. Would you kind of talk about that?
Well, there's a couple local groups here in my area that have been active for 20, 25 years insofar as, 25 years insofar as what is now the Midwest Preparedness Project. And there's another fellow that's affiliated with that group that is doing his own community building with his Life Done Free community. And I've been in Kansas since 1997, and both these groups are local to my area, within an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I never knew about any of them until 2022. So a whole lot of years after they've been in existence, but I came across them by happenstance. I was listening to an episode of the Survival Podcast with Jack Spirko, and anybody involved with preparedness and homesteading and survivalist communities is probably familiar with Jack. But he was interviewing a fellow by the name of Rowdy Tag Meyer, and I was tuned in and listening to that episode. It was probably a month or two old episode by the time I came across it, but I was listening to it, and Rowdy mentioned that he was in northeast Kansas, and said where he was at, and I know that area. It's right up the road. So after the interview was over, I went and found his social media. He's on Facebook and some other places, but YouTube. But I sent him a direct message on Facebook, and I reached out and found the Midwest Preparedness Project's Facebook and YouTube channels. Next thing you know, I'm going to their 2023 spring camp out and meeting them in person and just kind of getting a feel for the vibe with that group. And next thing you know, I've integrated into the communities that they've created over the years, and to the extent that I'm helping them do what they do and trying to help them achieve their mission. And I kind of hope I can do the same thing with autonomy. You guys are doing all kinds of awesome work to help people get where they want to be in life. And the same can be said for the local communities here. And I found myself in a position to be able to potentially help everybody do their thing and accomplish their mission and accomplish my own goals for myself in the process, which makes it all the better.
Wow, well said. That's excellent. Is there anyone else with a question for Matt? Give it just a minute.
I would love to talk to Matt. Matt and I have been communicating ever since I found out about his Midwest Preparedness Project. I plan on going to that in the spring. The reason I didn't chime in is because I'm on my cell phone. And it occurred to me, Matt, because of the line of work you're in, you spend a lot of time communicating, engaging on your cell phone. And since I wasn't able to get to my computer, I just came back from the gym working out for the second time today. Anyway, I just want to tell you, it's impressive what you're doing, the organizing that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to meeting you. And hopefully I can bring somebody down with me this spring. So I've spent a lot of time in Kansas and Missouri. It's like a sweet spot for really wonderful people that are very thoughtful. And anyway, I enjoyed the interview. So, and I'm just so tickled to be a part of autonomy. It's changed my life. So anyway, Matt, I'm glad I got home in time to actually, I wasn't going to listen to this in my car. I still haven't been able to turn on my computer, but at any rate, good job.
No, thank you, Bill, and I appreciate the feedback, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to meet you this spring too.
Amen.
Well, thank you for that.
Okay, sorry, I'm an autonomy person. Bill, do you need help with your computer? Because I can call you tomorrow and work with you if you want on your cell phone. You're on mute if you're answering me. Sorry, I know. Just
I'm sorry, I did mute. I generally mute when I'm not saying anything, and then I forgot to unmute. So I appreciate the offer. I'll be fine. My wife just told me, she said, in order to move forward with autonomy, I have to get my office ready. So currently I'm working in her office, but maybe I will be reaching out when I get a new computer and need help getting things up and running. But this year in autonomy, my focus is going to be two things: working with Barry Vernon's unified knowledge ontology, and then the second to that is learning about the technology and hopefully begin to understand how to blog. So anyway,
I got you. I got you on all that. Listen, I'm going to do a class this season, just a couple of maybe 1 or 2 episodes about getting up to speed with everything you need to sort out to be able to take the course. So I'm going to let you know when that is and bring you into that and work with you. Okay.
Leah, I appreciate this. This is, I think it's the missing element. There are other things that I've been working on diligently, but the technology part of this is going to be crucial, because when I want to make my offer, I'm going to need to be able to have the ability to do it using technology. And right now, I had told Richard that I hadn't used a computer in 20 years. So, and that changed over this last season. So I used my computer for 12 weeks and I got better at it, but it's a matter of repetition and then discovery. So, Leah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. All good, man. Thank you. I'm here for you.
I think I have a question for Matt, and I had to I had to step up. There was like a huge commotion upstairs, and I had to step away for just a moment. So if this is like something you guys covered in that time, I apologize. But I'd like to hear Matt describe some of the new skills that he learned while taking the course.
I was able to get some more insight into the digital marketing realm and the copyright, and that's all some stuff I dived into on my own accord prior to autonomy. But hearing the lecture series that specifically touched on those subjects was beneficial in helping me get back on the focus of developing those skills, because I like to write, and it's just not something that I've made time to do. And here lately, I've been doing a lot more, like social media posting that could be construed as copywriting, and trying to spread the word about the Midwest Preparedness projects going on, and then the Midwest Motivational Facebook page and YouTube channel and Instagram channel that I put together as an initial concept for motorcycle, dual sport and adventure type motorcycle riding community, with the intent of helping Midwest Preparedness Project grow their audience, by connecting with local riding groups. But the integration exercises that you do as part of the communication lecture series and ongoing, that makes being able to develop those skills helps and translates into reaching out to other people and making those connections and developing those relationships and fostering growth for those communities and bringing those communities together. Without the ability to communicate effectively, you'll have a real hard time making things happen like that. And so, you got the communication training and, back to the mindset where it all starts. But it all comes together to make one cohesive package, and it's all high quality information. And there's not one lecture series that doesn't give you something that can be molded into improvement on your end.
Are you, after applying those new skills, are you seeing good results?
Well, I was on a phone call with UFC Hall of Famer Pat Miletich in regard to a soil remediation project. And in my graduation interview talking to Deborah, I mentioned that prior to picking up my phone and dialing that number and hitting the call button, I was specifically recalling the integration exercises. And while I wasn't calling in to conduct an interview or be interviewed, the skills still came to mind because I was getting ready to talk to somebody that I, in a million years, would have never fathomed I'd be talking to. So, yeah, it's easily transferable.
Well, congratulations on your win, dude.
Yeah.
Pat's a good guy. I've talked to him before.
Yeah, we had a good conversation, and nope, looks like my internet connection is unstable. But yeah, Pat and I had a good conversation, and the potential project is on hold for a couple of reasons out of my control. And when he's should be down here for our Midwest Predators Project camp out in May, but he and I'll be talking in person at that point and seeing what's going to happen moving forward with our proposed.
Hey, Matthew, did you get a chance to take the copywriting clinic from Agnieszka?
I've caught some of the replays. I was going to try and get in on the live session they did this past week, but we were inundated with a snowstorm on Tuesday and some inclement weather and work issues, and I completely forgot about jumping in on there because I'd like to share some of the stuff written up as, ad copy and get into insight from her and the rest of the group. But in so far as the replays go, I thought it was pretty good information that they're putting out there.
Nice.
All right. Well, is there anyone else who would like to ask Matt a question? If not, I've got one for you, Matt.
Sure.
So you start off with the lecture series in autonomy.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, there's a bunch of other things that sort of get added into it. Out of the things that you were introduced that were sort of auxiliary to the main autonomy lecture series, what was one of the things that you were surprised most about?
Well, the one thing that struck me right off the bat was finding out that as we complete the program, become graduates, and earn our graduate certificate, that we have the ability to generate revenue as an affiliate for the autonomy program. So I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that existed, and then finding out that it is a thing and it does exist was pretty interesting, and it was a surprise. So the pretty cool surprise at that. And then oh man, the community. You don't know what you're getting into when you come into a new community. You can only hope for the best, and there was no bad thing to expect. For me coming in, I already had a pretty good idea of the caliber of people that comprise the community, having been tuned in and not dropping out for several years. But the community, it was impressive, and to come in to open arms was heartwarming, so to say. And the University of Reason Library, holy moly! I drive a commercial truck by day. I'm on the road 10, 12 hours at a time or in a day. Most of my day is spent driving, and that's what I do with my time. I listen to Grand Theft World or Peace Revolution or Mark Passio, or I dive into the University of Reason library. I listened to a couple of the Autonomy Quest episodes today, and I listened to Grand Theft World today. But I've spent a lot of time going through the material in the University of Reason library, and I still don't think I put much of a dent in it. There's so much content in there, and it's fantastic. There's a lot of reference to the autonomy experience being a fire hose, and it's hard to come in and take it all in at one time. But the fact that just about everything that transpires insofar as the lecture series and the presentations and different courses, it's all recorded and it's all made available for you to go back and review. Or if you didn't catch the live session, it's still available to you. And then add the lifetime membership. Once you're, I love it.
Absolutely. And that drinking from the fire hose is a very apt analogy. And definitely I had a similar experience. Just like you, I have a job where I have plenty of time to consume audio content. And oh yeah, that a lot. I listened to replays over again, which was very helpful because I have a young family. So making it through an entire lecture completely focused is not in the deck of cards for me. So being able to go the next morning and almost like clockwork, it's right there ready to go for me, and I can listen to the parts I missed. What did you think about the Q&As? What were your experiences with those?
I enjoyed sitting in on them, and I enjoyed having the opportunity if I felt inclined to contribute myself. And I usually didn't have a question. I was usually sharing something out there as a token of appreciation or gratitude or whatever the case may be. There were some occasions where I may have shared some insight and raised a question, but even then, just seeing other people ask questions that they had or raise their concerns, and then not only getting feedback from Richard, but from other students and other graduates. Richard always has something insightful to say. And anytime someone asks me about Richard, that's what I'm going to say, because that's a fact of the matter. And the empathy he shows in answering any questions or concerns, and the way he brings it back around to a conclusive answer, or if he doesn't have a conclusive answer, he's willing to look into it outside of the Q&A and perhaps come back, bring that answer to the forefront, or push somebody in the right direction to get that answer of their own accord. And that's another beautiful thing about autonomy, is it gives you the skills to discern and obtain the information and the answers that you seek without having to rely on someone else to give the answers to you.
Yeah, definitely. The bulk of the work helps you become a very efficient problem identifier and solution creator. So, it's definitely with the integration exercises, along with the community and all the interaction. Yes, Richard and the guides are wonderful at being able to, keep us on the right track as students and making that progress we have come here to make.
And the Q&A sessions help with all of that, because it shows you that, and you get to experience it for yourself as well.
Now, there are students putting on different types of interactions throughout the weeks. Did you do any of those things? What were your thoughts?
I caught some of the earlier live sales training series, but weekday nights are usually hard for me to get in on the extracurricular stuff, as a matter of long work days and then just a few hours to unwind and clean up and eat dinner and get ready for bed again. But for all of the stuff that I wanted to partake in, like the content creating deal that Agnieszka has going on, the live sales training, Barry's Unified World Knowledge View classes that he put on. Getting in on the live sessions wasn't always feasible for me, but again, everything was recorded and it's all put into the University of Region Library, and it's there for me to still get the value provided from it.
Yeah, I mean, we, like you mentioned, there are students from all over the world, different time zones, and the fact that the lectures and a lot of the auxiliary stuff is recorded does make it very easy for whether you got a family or you're living in Finland. You know, you can participate in autonomy and get a lot of value out of the experience. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to say anything or ask a question of Matt? All right. Well, I think this will start to conclude this interview. Before we leave today, I would definitely like to tell all the interested folks out there a bit about the enrollment process. Join Autonomy Quest to help make an informed decision and decide if autonomy is right for you. You're welcome to join anytime and come back if you want to hear more. The next step for a lot of folks will be to set up and have a blueprint success strategy call. 15 minutes or more. It really depends. If you're like me, it's going to go on a little bit, but the folks at Autonomy are going to be happy to set you up with a blueprint call and to discuss things. And this is really just an extra step to make sure that because this is drinking like a fire hose, and this is not some small step in your life, that this is where you're ready to go. Once you go through the blueprint call, you'll get an offer, and then from there you join Autonomy, get into the community, and get ready for season 13. Yeah, that's definitely the long and the short of it. There are going to be just a few little gifts for those who have hung out to the end. There is the Autonomy primer. There is the the gifts are the 19 essential skills for success, as well as they have the mindset lectures. And we mentioned a little bit about the mindset and how it helps out. And I've taken all of these mindset lectures, and I can really say that as a free gift, it is a very great place to start, and helps you get an idea for what starting off on your autonomy journey can be like.
I'd like to tell everybody a little bit about the Autonomy Primer that you mentioned there, Aaron. The Autonomy Primer is simply a detailed explanation of the autonomy course of action taught by Richard Grove. And in the Autonomy Primer, we'll cover all the details that you need to know to make an informed decision and find out if autonomy is right for you. That's it.
Yeah.
I'll add that if you feel in your gut that autonomy is right for you, it's right for you.
I can second that. I was like you. I hung on for quite a few seasons before I actually pulled the trigger, and then I just looked back in hindsight and said, "Man, that's 2 extra seasons of self-improvement and professional development I missed out on. What was I thinking?"
I try not to think about the opportunity cost of waiting all those years to make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Matthew, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you this evening, and I look forward to interacting with you in season 13. I hope you
Thank you very much, Aaron. Yep. I thank you to James and Leah and everyone else that's here tonight. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me and let me keep you guys company and share my insights. So have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for joining Autonomy Quest this evening. We'll be back next week at the same time with another great interview conducted by Autonomy graduates. And we will see you then. But until then, go forward with excellence.